begin the news in Nigeria, where the federal government says it is hopeful that organized labor will suspend its planned indefinite strike, stating that Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and Trade Union Congress, TUC, will consider the government's offers, including a 35,000 pay increase for all Treasury-paid federal government workers. The chief of staff to the president, after a 4-hour meeting which held at the presidential villa in Abuja, says that all issues of disparity raised by labor were discussed during the meeting. He asked that workers will need to resume at their places of assignment to enable government to fulfill its own side of the bargain. The meeting had representatives of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress, including several ministers and also representatives of government in attendance. Now, joining me to talk about these is a public affairs analyst, Najeeb Bello. Najeeb, good to have you join us on the news.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, my pleasure. Now, one of the highlights of the president's 63rd independence speech was an increase of 25,000 naira payments, now made 35,000 naira, to low-grade federal government workers. What's your impression of this?
I think the segmentation of workers into different strata doesn't really help. Giving 25,000 naira extra would have been helpful to those earning the minimum wage. But when it comes to those at higher levels who are also just as affected as every other worker in Nigeria, it doesn't really help at all. So if we are going to talk about some kind of increment or some kind of increase in pay, it should affect everybody and it should be a general percentage rather than a lump sum. Because even the 35,000 naira being proposed right now, even if they were to give all the workers 35,000 naira, for the more senior staff who commute to office with their cars, I think 35,000 naira would just buy them a full tank of fuel, just one off. So I think the government needs to review that 25 or 35,000 naira, which it is right now, and make it a percentage. And the percentage we are looking at should be something that would reflect the realities of today's economy in Nigeria.
Okay, Mr. Bello, we understand that organized labor will be having a meeting with the government sometime this morning. Now, what impact do you think the proposed strike would have on government? Mr. Najeeb, are you there?
I'm here. Your communication broke for a while. You said they will be having a meeting.
Yes, we understand that organized labor is to meet with the government later this morning. I was asking what you think the impact of the strike would have on the decision of government.
Oh yes. At the moment, the Nigerian economy is suffering a lot, and definitely a strike we'll be looking at tens of billions of naira worth of losses daily. So I think the government would want to prevent that. And to be honest, the proposals that the NLC is making are not far-fetched, really, considering how things have gone over the past about 5 months. Nigerian workers deserve nothing less than 100% increase in their pay. And we heard some months ago when such an increase, I think 104% or thereabout, more than 100% pay increase was being considered for political office holders. So it makes the right sense that Nigerian workers, government workers, not just federal, state, local government workers should be seeing as much as 100% increase in their salaries. So if the government lets NLC go to strike, the economy will suffer for it and things will get worse generally. It will be a bigger problem trying to reverse the effects of that strike than actually just taking the decision now and giving the workers their rightful pay. And I don't think 6 months is something they should be looking at, a temporary increase for 6 months. if there's going to be another increase after 6 months, then that's fine. But if the government is proposing that after 6 months, they will now revert to the previous salary, that would that doesn't make much sense to me. But let's see what the plan is fully when they have their meeting today.
Okay. Now, another point mentioned by the president during his speech was that the payment of 75,000 naira to 15 million household, for a period of 3 months from October to December this year is what he mentioned in his speech. Do you think this would have any impact whatsoever on the lives of Nigerians?
So this is what is purely palliative, and it doesn't help at all. You have workers who are going to run the economy, who are going to make the country move forward, and they are struggling. If you are talking about 75 million naira to about 15 million people, that is a whole lot of money that would do well to help the workers. And most of these workers have dependents who are these vulnerable people that they feed, they house, they clothe. So why not use the money you have, the bulk of the money you have, to increase salaries of the workers rather than spreading it out to people who we really don't know right now. They've talked about how poorly the register of those people is managed, how we don't know who is who. So by definition itself, palliative is trying to do something to seem like you are trying to help when you really are doing nothing. So I don't support them giving out 75,000 over 3 months to the so-called poorest of the poor or the most vulnerable. I don't know how they get the list of those people, but it will make more sense to me if they use whatever extra funds they have to give anybody to pay workers more, because a lot of these vulnerable people still rely on the Nigerian workers for their daily living. So somehow or the other, those funds will still trickle down to them. So I disagree with them trying to give out. I think the NLC is in agreement, but I think there's a flawed thinking in trying to share 25,000 naira to people who we really don't know for 3 months. That's
Right.
my opinion of it.
Okay, and finally, beyond organized labor threatening to go on strike, yes, they've called for an indefinite strike. What other measures do you think the NLC, organized labor, that's the NLC and TUC, can put in place as a way of putting pressure on the government apart from strikes?
Okay, for organizations like, let's say, ASU, for instance, they need to come up with solutions which have to do with a feasible fee to be paid by students. But when it comes to other federal and state workers, I think it's just about increasing productivity. Year in, year out, you have you have state organizations that produce virtually nothing. There are people in the refineries. I heard they are trying to make the refineries work now, but those people have been on the payroll of the refineries for years. We've seen nothing from them. As we talk about Ajaokuta steel today, producing no steel, but by the time they show you how many people they are paying, so the workers have to find a way to show off their productivity. When you are saying, oh, at this level, we were able to achieve this, we were able to achieve that, so why are you not paying us a commensurate amount of money? Then Nigerians will begin to support them, and they don't need to go on strike. If a refinery is generating, say, 10 billion a month, 10 billion naira a month, and workers are still being paid, say, 100,000 in this economy, then they can say yes, they can seek other means to get redress and make sure they are paid the value that they deliver. But when you have moribund industries and people resuming to their workplace at noon and closing by 2 p.m., then it becomes a problem to even justify the amount of pay that they are demanding. So what they need to do is be more productive and show evidence of that productivity.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Najeeb Bello, Public Affairs Analyst, for your perspective this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.